Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Zelda Challenge. Joining me, as always, is my good friend Kevin O'Rourke. How you feeling today, Kevin?
I'm doing terrific, Goo. How about yourself?
I am feeling extra musical because it is Music Week over at Zelda Dungeon. And so today we have a special music-themed debate that we're going to be doing for you guys.
The topic is the best use of music in a Zelda game. I'm going to be arguing in favor of the Wind Waker.
For this, I'm going to be arguing in favor of Majora's Mask. Okay, so right away, we can just talk about the overall feeling that the Majora's Mask soundtrack gives off. It's got this very foreboding sound. As you know, the world is about to end, so a lot of the themes just sound a little off. It's not your typical, epic Zelda orchestra, let's go save the world type theme. I think one good example of that actually is the Termina Field theme. It's, the melody is it's very close to your classic Legend of Zelda overworld theme. But then it's got this really weird sound to it too. It doesn't sound totally happy and exciting and as exciting as the Legend of Zelda soundtrack is. And you see that in a lot of, the game takes stuff from other Zelda games, specifically Ocarina of Time, and, kind of changes them to make them seem more dark than they were originally, I would say. And you also see it, you go to the different areas in the game, and they, before the dungeons, and they all have, this really, sad sounding song. Every area you go, it seems like everything, it's all falling apart, and they have the same theme that plays, but it matches each area you go to. Like when you're in the Great Bay area, it sounds more aquatic, or when you're in the swamp area, it sounds more swampy, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
I don't know if people would appreciate their music being referred to as swampy in nature, but I think I know what you mean. It's
a swampy tune, let's say. Or, it sounds, how about this? When you go up Snowhead Mountain, it's that same theme, but it's very chilling.
Okay. I'll take
that. So another thing that this game plays around with, going from this, taking these songs and making it sound like something's just not right, it dabbles in, having the themes change to suit the vibe. So you have the 3-day mechanic of the game, where, the moon is coming closer, everyone's gonna die. You're in Clocktown, for example, and we all know the Clocktown theme. It's this very cheerful theme. But as the days go on, the song gets scarier and scarier to the point where it's on the third day, and there's this really fast part playing in the background, and there's scary what's it called, the notes. I'm bad at explaining music, but the notes are clashing with the music, and it's very unsettling until you finally get to the final hours music, and all of that music drops, and it's this very dismal, for a lack of a better term, this very dismal sound, and it sounds like, it fits, for example, when you go to see Anju and Kafai in the room, and they know or they feel that the moon is gonna crash. It fits that tone of, the world is ending. So it's cool how that one song transforms in over the course of 3 days, and then finally drops out and becomes this, melancholy song. Another part of the game that does that is Stone Tower Temple, which I think a lot of people hold just the theme for Stone Tower Temple in high regard as one of the best dungeon themes or themes in Zelda. But not only is it a great tune, but when you flip the dungeon, which is the main mechanic of that dungeon, the theme becomes very weird. Now the dungeon, everything's upside down. It doesn't really like make sense. Like the architecture and like the sky is the ground, and the theme really reflects that. I think that's really cool. Like the idea of these themes that are like dynamic and change. Like I think that's ahead of its time. Like I think that's something since then people have really been, even especially in Zelda, it's been a thing they've evolved on, leading all the way up until Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild makes good use of this, but I think Majora's Mask is like the first game to like really embrace that and make it something interesting. In a lot of the games, you have like an instrument that you play to affect things around you. I think this game makes really good use of that with the ocarina, particularly the Song of Healing. I think that's one of the other main mechanics of the game, is going around and you're meeting all these characters who they're dead, they're dying, they're near death. They're a ghost whose soul is tormented, and you have to play the song that was used to like help you initially in the game to help all these other people, or at least soothe their death, soothe their feelings, when there's no other hope for them. So not only that, but you use the Song of Healing to soothe the soul of various people and get their masks that you put on to like transform into them. And with that, it gives you access to different instruments in itself in the game. So like when Ocarina of Time, you only had the ocarina. In this, you have you have your ocarina, of course, but then you have the guitar, you have the drums, and you have the Deku pipes, which show up. They make great use of that for many different things in the game. The song you have to play when you're climbing Stone Tower Temple and make the different little statues of yourself. You have that cool side quest where you play the Ballad of the Windfish. I put in quotations. And they each have their own special song that you have to use to get into the different dungeons, and you have to play them as, if you learn the Goron song, you have to play it as a Goron. And there's a lot of cool like story elements that ties all these songs into the game. I think more so than Ocarina of Time, where it's just play the song to warp to this area. They streamlined that. They put that all in the Song of Soaring, and instead they found like other cool ways to tie these various songs into the game. You can't go without mentioning the Song of Time, of course. That's another great song they carried from Ocarina of Time and put a whole new spin, a whole new meaning on it with traveling back in time. It's, the main mechanic of the game. You got the Oath to Order. It's another strong storyline song that is also really depressing. They found a cool use for the Song of Storms in this game, with the whole flat and sharp thing. Another great storyline moment. Many Zelda games are, but this is really dense with a lot of great music moments. So yeah, that's why I think Majora's Mask makes the best use of music in any Zelda game.
So yeah, Goo, you made some really good points. I love the music in Majora's Mask myself. It does have a lot of like really good themes, but I'm gonna take the flip side here and talk about the Wind Waker and why I think it uses music the best in the Zelda series. And it's not dismal and dark. In this case, it's very upbeat, more heroic. It's very, I don't want to say it's lighthearted, but the themes of it are very, I guess, encouraging, if you want to use a word. There's a lot of heroic tracks in it, and there's a nautical theme to the game because you're exploring the Great Sea, and that's the key word, is exploration, which is, the true spirit of the Legend of Zelda. There's some really great music in this game. There's a couple of really jaunty tunes, like the theme on Outset Island, Woodfall Island, and one of my favorites too is the Dragon Roost Island theme. It's a relaxing theme, and there's a lot of that in the Wind Waker. And I think that taking those relaxing themes, like when you're on the Great Sea, and you're, cruising around on the King of Red Lions, it fits the style of the game, which I think a lot of, there's other Zelda games that, of course, the music does fit the style, but I think Wind Waker is the best example of, taking the visuals and the overall, style of the game and fitting the music to that. So you're on the Great Sea, you hear very heroic music, and that fits in with the type of instruments that are used as well. There's lots of horns, there's lots of strings used. It's really fitting with the pirates and going around on the Great Sea and just having a good time exploring the world. There's a lot of small themes for very, very tiny things that you won't even think of unless you play the game and actually actively listen for it. Things like the Helmrock King, just the lead up to him, not even the fight. There's certain cues that play, even Goma just appearing when you're about to fight Goma. There's a separate little, theme that plays there. And the dynamic music, the way that it will switch, is similar to Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Let's say that you're going from the Great Sea, you're riding along, and then boom, you're in a big octo fight. The way that music amps up and brings you into that moment is, really well done. It's crazy how, that ties itself into the game, which is gonna lead me to my next point. When you're in combat, I think this is the best part of Wind Waker's use of music, is when you hit an enemy, the game will kind of not pause, but it will sort of freeze with you. Twilight Princess does the same thing too. But what the Wind Waker does is it ties music with combat. So when you hit an enemy, you hear a note play. If you get consecutive hits against an enemy or you knock them out, you hear a different sound. When an enemy is defeated, you hear that really epic, boom, I just hit that guy, he's out for the count. And that's really great. It's rewarding to, to hear that sound where you're hitting the guy and you know that you're, doing some damage. It's very, it takes you into the game more so, with the music especially. It's the kind of game that you have to play with the music on. There's some where it's okay, I could cruise around, it's late, I don't want to bug anyone that's awake or whatever, I don't feel like listening to the music. This is the one where it's you have to play it with the music.
All right, Kevin, well, I think you made some very good points, but we're going to have to leave it up to our viewers to decide who made a better argument. If you want to let us know who you thought made a better argument, click the icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Pick me if you thought Majora's Mask makes better use of music in the series, or pick Kevin if he convinced you that Wind Waker makes better use of music in the series. Also, be sure to check out some of our other videos. Go subscribe if you want more videos like this. We have a whole series of these. They're all pretty fun, I'd say.
Enjoy the rest of Music Week.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. How could I forget? Go to zeldadungeon.net, check out Music Week. There's going to be a bunch of cool, fun themed stuff. And, you'll know when you go. It's great. Of course, Kevin, thanks for joining me again.
Thanks, Go. Always a pleasure.